have a just a quick agenda that we're going to look at.
Yeah.
But so today we are going to be looking at Destiny Resource Manager. And again, I'm your software solutions consultant, and Kim is she's the software solutions consultant, and I'm your Follett software sales rep. But I was trying to explain to Kim kind of what we discussed the other day, that your curriculum department is looking for a way to track the resources that you guys use across the districts, including digital licenses, manipulatives, print materials, things like that. And I actually I was looking at your district, and you actually have a very big district. It looks like I saw like 27 sports programs and over 3,300 students, and I was like, oh my goodness, no wonder she's wanting to know what we need to do to get these things tracked easier. So, but anyway, I just kind of wanted to make sure that we were on the right track, and I did share some things with Kim based on the stuff that we had discussed the other day. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Kim, and she can do the demo, and then after the demo, we can do any questions and answers that you might have, and we can discuss next steps if you'd like to learn what those might be.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Kim.
All right, hold on just a second here. All right. Again, my name's Kim Herring. My necklace is all messed up here. My name is Kim Herring. I'm one of the solutions consultants here. So what I'm going to do today is just demonstrate our product. My understanding is I was sent some of your digital content. I just wanted to understand that a little bit better. These are some of the links that you provided for HMH and their curriculum. And are these strictly, are they totally 100% digital, these subscriptions?
So HMH is actually moving to a full digital. They are not doing print unless you custom. I mean, they can custom print, but they are moving forward and talking with our HMH rep that you're like, nope, we're doing all digital. So, yeah.
And then are they, yeah, because I didn't know that. Okay.
I didn't know that either. That's new for him too.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure I share that with my team. But
yeah.
But one of the ways they're doing that then, are they just providing you a URL to access their platform then?
So yeah, they have like a digital, I can't remember the name of their platform off the top of my head. I can only think of like the Savvis one, but essentially you get like a code, and then we do a rostering through Clever, where we get the code, we get the number that we have, and it Clever rosters the classes that we send to that platform with our digital implementation team. So that's not me. That would be our tech team. But
so they automatically rosters those codes. They don't have to enter the code.
Right. Yeah. So it'll roster the kids when we sync the class to that. We sync the class to that course with HMH. So our digital implementation team will push our student data through Clever, and then HMH connects it. So that way the kids can log in through single sign-on.
Okay. So they already entered, the code is already activated when they log in.
Right. I think what I'm looking for is less that there's a management of that, because that's actually pretty clean in the way that we do it. It would be more of, I need to know if we're having codes that are expiring. So as a product, I'm putting it in and saying, we have HMH, we have 250 world history licenses, and they're good for 3 years. And then when every year we get the class numbers, we know we have, some years we may have 245 kids enrolled. I can go and check, oh, we have 250 licenses, 245 kids are enrolled, we're good to go. Or when the high school principal says, all right, we have 300 kids enrolled in world history, do we have enough? It's not a surprise that we're not getting errors in August, right? Like it's something that can be known and accounted for. And that's the issue that we've had is most of the gaps are being made known in August, and then you have to put in a purchase order. And then it takes, if it's a hard copy, it's going to take 3 weeks to get in. And then you're in September, August, October by the time you're actually getting the resource. So what we're trying to do is be able to run a report of some sort, like in April, and say, oh, okay, we need to make sure we know we have this many kids enrolled for next year. We know we have enough digital licenses and we know we have them for 2 more years, or we have this many kids enrolled. We need 90 books. We have 90 books. We don't need to order any more books.
Yeah, we can do something like that. So we can put like a digital license and tell it how many, and are they consumables then? How many years do you get them? For 5 years, you said?
Well, and every product is different, right? So we have a consumables, maybe we order those yearly. We have some that we're on a subscription for 5. We try to do 5 years, but because it can be cost prohibitive to commit to something for 5 years, and then maybe you don't need that many of digital licenses, and you're over ordering. So like, for example, we have pallets of workbooks that aren't being used because somebody had put them on a 5-year license and never checked how many we had in stock.
Right.
Prior to my
Okay.
role. So I'm like, oh, like I can't look at a pallet of workbooks. That's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Right, right. Okay. So, so I'm going to show you a little bit about Destiny Resource Manager. Now, right now, do you have Library Manager? I'm pretty sure you do have Library.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, for I think we looked at it. Our libraries do. I actually wouldn't know that if they are using
No.
it for.
Do they don't have Library?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they have any of our products. Let me double check, but yeah, I don't show them as being a library manager customer.
Okay, perfect. Let me do a different install here. So what we're going to be doing is, so a little bit about Destiny. Destiny is the resource manager product. It's 100% browser based. So it's completely a browser based product.
Mhm.
So you can access it from any browser, whether it's Google or Chrome or, whatever one you want, Edge.
Yeah.
You can access it from there. You would have all your schools listed on this main page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we would roster all your students and your staff, within the system. So that's something that we automatically set up with the system, is rostering all your student information into Destiny. What student information system is this?
We use Progress Book as our SIS.
Okay, so what we would do is we would usually do some type. Do you have ClassLink, you said?
Progress Book.
No, do you use ClassLink? Is that what you said before?
Oh,
No?
Clever. Sorry.
Clever, okay.
Yeah.
So what we would do here is we would load in all the students through like a batch process.
Mm-hmm.
So every night Destiny would load in those students and staff members into the system, and they would be automated. So that would happen. They can automatically be removed after so many days if they're no longer in the district or anything like that. So that whole process would
Did
be
I hear
automated.
you say that it is like an evening push? So like you would connect to our student information system and it would say,
What would
like-
happen, usually what happens is they send a file to like a folder
yeah,
or up to an SFTP site, and then Destiny loads it in nightly. So you're
Okay.
just sending a file to our SFTP site, the student information system is, and then that data gets loaded in nightly. And
Okay.
then, yeah, and usually that's automated from your student information system.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so that would be all students and staff, and we would set that up as part of the project. It would automatically be configured. The other piece that we set up in the system is class schedule data. Okay.
Okay.
So all the classes, the section, the start and end date of the class, the teacher that teaches the class, and the students enrolled in the class. All that information is contained in your student information system.
Mm-hmm.
And all that information would be loaded into Destiny as well. So that's something that we would also do as part of this project, is we would implement that. So like under here, under admin, and then update classes. This is at my district in my demo here. I would have all the class information configured. You can see these are my classes, and if I drill in anymore, I can see exactly what locations or what schools they're at. And if I go deeper into that, then I can see the teacher that teaches the class and the students enrolled in that class. All that information is contained within your student information system. Now, what you would do is you would associate any resources that you use in that class to the different classes, because that's not in your student information system, is
No.
what resource you're using, whether it be a digital resource or a consumable
Yeah.
resource. You would associate that to that class, and that's what's going to give us some of our reporting that you're looking for within the product.
I like that. Can I ask a few questions here?
Sure.
Am I inputting the description, or is that, so when it says Texas Instruments Voyage TM, would that be something that as like a manager of the system I'm putting in, or are there options within your system?
We do have something called T2 within our system. I'll show you how to add like a record in the system. There is something called T2, which is a database of already pre-cataloged materials.
Okay.
So you can type in the ISBN number and it'll pop up with, with that particular item. So that's one way to do it. But if it's not in T2, then you would add that information in there.
Yeah, like
now,
I
you'll
saw
notice,
the pencil.
What's that?
Like the pencil or the.
Yeah, that's a consumable pencil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had like 50 pencils and you wanted to keep track of them, you would, you would almost check out that pencil to a student. That's probably not a great example there, but
no, but I get it. I get it.
Yeah. And these are different textbooks. So these are, Algebra 1, and then I have like a transparency, and then this is an e-textbook. So sometimes there's, this is where we would get into that digital. This one, it's interesting because this is one with redemption codes, but the redemption codes are put in through Destiny. In other words, you upload the redemption codes to Destiny, and then you do it through Destiny. That's why I was asking a little bit about that. We would probably just, because that's taking place through Clever, we would probably, just use it within this type of realm where we would
just a catalog.
Create a digital textbook, which would have the link to the URL and then the number of, licenses that you have for that digital textbook.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'll show you what this resource looks like actually. And then I'll show you a couple different resources and how we get them into the system. But this whole class schedule piece is what's going to give you a lot of that reporting, because it's going to tell me the number of resources that I have bumped up against my student enrollment. Okay.
Can you adjust the enrollment? So like if I'm trying to pre-plan once I get course counts for a future school year, or do I have to wait until that school year flips over? Like, can I toggle between school years?
No.
Okay.
Can you toggle? No, you can't toggle between school years. We could load in a different class schedule.
Okay.
But you can also adjust this enrollment here, but you can adjust it for the classes, and you could adjust the enrollment within there. So like, see how it says 18, I could say there's 20 in here or whatever. But yeah, it doesn't allow you to like do one class schedule and then the next one. Okay. It's a good question.
Okay.
All right. Now, so to get the data into the system, the next step would be to enter it in there. Now, there's a couple ways you do that. Like I said, we include T2. Now, Destiny is based on these templates. Okay, we have different templates. So once you purchase Destiny, this is the complete edition, correct, Melanie? So once we purchase Textbook Manager, we would also have the ability to track this for other departments if you wanted. Okay, but most of your curriculum is going to be underneath this textbooks branch here. Okay, and you can organize the structure of this however you want. Like you can organize your textbooks by department. I have them organized where I have some under digital textbooks, some under class sets. Like this organizational structure is defined by you. Okay.
And are the categories defined by us as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, textbooks is the only thing you don't have control over. But anything underneath this, you would be
like I'm
entering
noticing the kits or sheet music. Like those would be things I could put in.
Correct. Yep. Sheet music, that's more for your music department, but yes, you could definitely do that as opposed to a textbook. So this database isn't the greatest as far as the structure goes because we use it for testing as well. But certainly we would help you and work through that with you. There's a training that's actually included to go through all the templates within the product. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the way to get data into the system, like I was saying, anything, whenever you select something underneath this textbooks
Mhm.
branch, you get this option called T2.
Yeah.
T2 is a database of already cataloged material. Textbook over here. And so all you're doing is you're going to scan the ISBN number of that book, and it's going to look in the database and see if that, if that record exists. And I got this one several times because I keep using it as an example, but you can see here it's underneath T2. I would just go ahead underneath T2 here, and then I would just save it down into my database. Do you want to duplicate this? You would just say, I'm going to say yes in my case. In your case, you wouldn't do that necessarily, but then you would, that record is saved automatically in there. So that's as easy as it is to get something into the system.
Mhm.
So most things are going to be part of that database, right?
Yeah.
But if you didn't, then you could certainly add it from scratch. If it didn't come up with something, it would just bring up a blank template where you would add your information in about that particular item. And you can see
can I see all the different?
There's title,
the,
author, edition,
can you
copyright
pull down
date.
what is the budget category? Like I could attach our budget lines to that.
Yeah, that's something you define. So,
I could add those in. So we use a code like 520 for textbooks or something. That's something I could put in and say, this is a 520 purchase.
Yeah, you could say, I could make a 520 or 520, you said 520, and I could save that and use that as my budget code then.
Got it. Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Mm.
Does it have if it was a digital piece, would it be able to put an expiration date, like the commitment or the timelines of?
Yeah, we could do something. You can do things like that. That could be part of the class schedule as well. Or we can make a custom field here even for expiration date. We'll look at a digital textbook here in a minute, okay?
Okay.
But you'll notice here, we can change it to ebook. And then once we change this material type to ebook, then we have some additional options here once I save that, okay? So material type of ebook would give me my license counts, okay? I'll look at one that's already done, but so you can see, you can add books and, kits and, different types of material within the product there. And then another piece that's important here is this instructional classification. This is also something you kind of define whether this is going to have a barcode, whether it's never going to have a barcode. So there's some things you can check out, but they don't have a barcode. You check them out by name, or it's a consumable. A consumable also could be checked out by name or by ISBN number.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you're telling it whether these two items, whether it has a barcode or not. If it's a consumable item, then once it's used within a class, it automatically gets consumed automatically. So it's no longer part of your inventory. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it automatically keeps track of it. So if I associated that to a person, it would automatically be consumed. Okay. So those are different fields that you would identify, within the record. Okay. And as well as, publication, your adoption dates and things like that. Okay. So once you have the record in the system, then you can go ahead and add your own copy information or your own local items. Like I said, these can be barcoded or not, depending on what type of data this is. But you can have the number of items here. And if you were going to be adding, 25 or whatever it is, you would assign the next barcode number, and then you could fill out the additional information here, your price, whatever it is. And then you could, your department.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what type of book this is, but your department, you would fill out all that additional information. You would just go ahead and click save. It's going to say, do you want to add these 25? And you would say yes. And then you would put those stickers on your book. So usually we provide you the pre-printed stickers if you're going to barcode them. And they have two parts to them. The ones from Follett, where I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they have a barcode number and then they have what's called an iReadable underneath. And that iReadable then gets stuck within the book. You familiar with those? You've seen those before?
The one that's in the book?
Yeah, it's something special that Follett does. So that's what's a little bit different about our barcode labels. Is they're you know, if you're gonna barcode these items, then the barcode labels that Follett sells have like a two parts to them. They have the barcode up here, but they also have this little iReadable strip. So for
okay.
textbooks, you barcode the book, you know, on the back or something with the actual scannable item, but you can hide this little strip within the book in case someone takes the barcode off.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So-
I'm thinking of like those little square book things that you see in sometimes when I buy a book from the bookstore and it falls out. I know what yeah.
Yeah, so these
An
are,
extra
this is
thing.
like,
Okay.
right, those are RFID tags, but
Yeah,
these
got it.
are,
Got it.
yeah. So you can see also, I can upload an image here. I uploaded the image of
Yeah.
the item. You know, so that's something that you can do. So let's look at just some of the different items that you can add within the database. Log in here again. And let me log out here. I don't know what this is doing here.
While you're pulling stuff up, I
Hold
was
on just
curious.
a second here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
While I'm pulling stuff up, go ahead.
Sorry. Does this, can you run a report by vendor as to what's expiring?
Yeah, you can run those types of reports. Any report, you can also make any field customizable within the database, and all the fields are reportable fields. I can report on any field
Okay.
within the database itself.
I had to laugh when Kim had the pencils in there and you were asking about the pencil. And I taught for 18 years. And there
Yeah.
were times when I'm like, I should have probably done that for some of my pencils.
Barcode the pencil.
Pencils are
Well,
like,
you don't
I
barcode them,
always
you just
done.
count them.
No,
I know,
You know.
yeah, yeah. I was just laughing though, because I was like, I went through like thousands of pencils in
Right.
18 years.
Yeah, so just to kind of look at some of these books, like if we look at some of the digital textbooks and how they get entered into the system, you can see here, this is a textbook and it has that little e-textbook because the instructional classification is set to digital materials auto circulate. So that's another thing too. We can associate the textbook to the class, and then it can auto circulate to that class. So it can automatically be checked out. And then you have the e-textbook here where you have the material type. So anytime it's like that, then what we can do when we go ahead and add additional copy information to it. You know, you're adding the number of items here, and then so you would keep track of that, you know, how many it is. And that's where we could keep track of those licenses.
And then projected life is like how many years we're hoping to keep that book for.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And that plays into depreciation within the product.
DCP. Oh, good. Okay.
Those are custom. All these are custom fields. Someone added.
But we can do all those custom fields.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Any field can be customizable.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the amount of like how do users input see communicate within the system? So like I'm assuming there's a content manager, there's some maybe site managers or
Usually there's someone someone inputting the data. So that's a good question. So how does when you order materials, does it go to a central location to be like tagged or anything before it
Yeah,
gets
yeah, it's
distributed
all
out?
centrally received. And
Mhm.
then our administrative assistant will work with our receiving department to indicate to whom it goes to,
Mhm.
and verify the receipt of those. And then, yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking through like who are the
Mhm. And
users
so
that
does
you
it
can
go to like a central office or was it a school or something?
from the central receiving, which is not at our central office. The central receiving will look at the purchase order and then distribute it to the mentioned person. So like a department chair or,
So we would probably need a license too for that, Melanie, just so you know, like for that central location. So what that would do is usually then what would happen is we would, like when we were adding that data into the system, we would be adding it to like you don't have a warehouse, do you?
yeah,
You do have an instructional warehouse?
we have, yes, yeah.
And that warehouse is where people actually work and then the sites request things from that warehouse.
So we have like no, we have a warehouse at central receiving that stores materials,
Okay.
where we do like all our shipping and handling. And then we have a professional learning center that stores curriculum materials in abundance. Um, so everything comes into the warehouse, it gets directly shipped to the building. And then if we have additional like items, it lives in a special curriculum professional learning center
Okay, but the
place.
items don't come back to the warehouse, right? There's no
No.
warehouse workers there that actually receive orders and pick the orders and ship them out all day.
No, yes, there is. There's somebody who,
Okay,
there is a person, there are workers whose job is to receive centrally for the entire district. So all things,
okay,
computers, food, textbooks, they get that order, they check it in, and then we have somebody who distributes throughout the district. We have 6 school building sites. We have a central office, and then we have a professional learning center um, that has like a curriculum warehouse that holds all those materials. So if somebody needed to request additional materials, like they would let right now it's an email curriculum department, let them know they need more. Curriculum puts in the request to have it sent to the building,
they put in a request to have it sent to the building.
like a work request. So it's like, okay, please go and take 10 of these from the warehouse and send them to this elementary school.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the best way is to show this. Okay, so we have warehouse functionality, and we also have where you can, well, we could do with the warehouse as well. So there's a couple ways you can do this, and you said that the warehouse is a separate site from where you would be receiving the inventory at, or is that received within the warehouse?
I think it just depends on where we tell it to go. Right now, it's just
Okay.
wherever we direct it to go, but it could be essentially we'd like to have all of our abundant curriculum materials to be in our professional learning center that has a warehouse component. Then we have a separate central receiving component that kind of stores like paper and gasoline and cleaning supplies. Like they have their own way of doing things, but everything comes into one central warehouse, and then curriculum materials go from there directly to, like, if a new textbook comes in, they're taking it directly to the teachers who need to have it.
Okay, and then any extras though would be stored in the warehouse, right?
Extras are in the curriculum professional learning center warehouse. Yeah, it's like it goes, anything extra will come into it. Yeah, there's a
And then
place to
if
put
they don't
them.
need it anymore at the schools, does it stay in the schools?
If they don't need it anymore in the schools, they submit a request for it to be removed. And then we look to see, does it need to be stored because it's current? Does it need to be resold maybe and kind of get a buyback on it? Can it, if not, then does it get distributed to students and kind of written out of our system? And if not, it might need to be destroyed.
Okay. So yeah, so there's functionality in here for a warehouse where like the schools can place orders to the warehouse and the warehouse
Yeah.
can pick them and ship them out.
Okay.
So that's capability in here as well. There's
I guess that's
also,
what I'm asking. Like I'm working with our science department chair and I'm thinking, how many more textbooks and how many more digital license do we need next year? And that's all by hand, right? Like there's not a system that he has right now that says, oh, I have 96 books on hand. or there's 96 in the building and we have 105 kids registered, we're going to need, 9 more textbooks next year.
So you would be able to do that through the product.
Okay.
You would be able to do that.
That's awesome.
And see that. That would be part of the reports that we would have within the system. There's
Yeah.
a report that you can run here either at a school or at a district, and that's a student to resource statistics report. We can run it across the district here, and we can see where anything is missing.
Mhm.
So for example, if this is bumping it up against that student enrollment, and you could see here, this particular textbook, it has, there's 118 over here at this academy. There's 93 people enrolled in it, but I have 25 extra here. But over here, I have only 4 items, but I have 86 enrolled, so I'm short 82. So you can transfer items from one school to the other.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I only need to order 10. I don't need to order all those.
Yep. That's great. I follow.
Yeah. So that's where that student enrollment comes in, and just associating it to the class, whether it be a digital textbook, for the HMH things, we can associate the digital textbook to the class, or if it's a, if it's a regular textbook or a consumable item or whatever it is. Okay. The other, going back to, entering data into the system, like I said, you can have kits and things within the product. Kits also have something usually called some type of component feature to them.
Yeah.
Like these benchmark assessment kits, or even some of these other types of kits. They usually have, a bunch of things that come with them specifically. So you have this option to add components to it. So this is components. So you can see this particular assessment kit includes, assessment book, CD, and you can see how many are in that specific kit. You can also make these.
Can you assign those to the teacher?
Yes, you can assign the kits to the teacher. And then when the kits get assigned to the teacher or checked out to the teacher, then it'll verify that all that information is part of it.
Okay.
Part of that kit. Okay. So that's used quite a bit, this component feature within the textbook product. Okay. So if we go just to the distribution, there's several ways in which you can do distribution here. There's the to patron option, which is directly to the student or to the teacher. And then there's, you could also do things directly to the department or to location. But these other 2 options here, this by class and to teacher, this is to teacher reassigned a student. So usually what happens is there's different distribution methods within your school to get things down to the student, right? So if you're doing distribution within a classroom, the teacher might bring, I might say, by class, Mr. Bell's class, you would bring up Mr. Bell's class. And because we loaded in the class schedule, I can see that, what classes he teaches. I can also see that class list of all the students within the class. So you're just selecting the student's name and then assigning or checking out that textbook to the student.
Oh, okay.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it easier to do that distribution when you're in a class itself. We also have the ability to run a list, like a scannable barcode list for all the classes. That'll make that distribution easier. You can do it virtually within, only a couple minutes. You can get the whole class checked out.
You have to have like special barcode readers, or is that something you can do with a cell phone?
You can do it with a cell phone. We have a mobile app called Destiny Back Office mobile app that allows you to do check in, check out, and use the an inventory using the camera on your phone.
Awesome. And then I think maybe we answered this, but in terms of setting up the administrative side, you can probably give different levels of input to this data, right? So I have department chairs that I want telling me, kind of the numbers and what they have and what they need. I have an administrative assistant. We have, directors. Like, is there different levels by building, or is that limited? And then I think as we kind of continue on here, I mean, this looks like a really great system. It's definitely fitting some of the needs that we have. We also, we are curious in a cost, and like that would be something that I'd have to take to our cabinet meeting about, getting kind of a look as to what would that kind of look like in terms of a setup and then kind of an annual agreement.
Yep.
Yeah, I can get an estimate put together for you after we're
Okay,
done.
that'd be great. Okay.
So yeah, you can, certainly there's underneath, different ways in which you can do that. You could have this, there's also this request feature, which is what I believe you're asking. You can request, the schools can request things. And then they
Nice.
can go to certain people to approve before we
Okay.
move them, before
To
you,
a purchase order.
correct.
Got it. And I can assign that ability to request to certain people, like,
Correct.
okay, great.
It's an access level permission. Everything in Destiny is controlled by access levels and permissions, and they're very, there's a lot of them. So you
I
can
would
see,
imagine, yeah.
yeah, and you can do it by groups. So we can have different groups have access to certain things. So for example, if you expand this beyond curriculum,
Yeah,
you can have just the curriculum department have access to certain materials, while other groups would have, permissions to only access their items and
got
have
it.
different permissions for their materials.
Okay,
Those are called groups, and then we can give different groups different permissions.
okay.
And you can see they're very granular here on who we would give, that ability to.
Yeah,
Who's going to transfer, who's going to make things on order, who's allowed to do disposable items,
mm-hmm.
ordering resources, who can do that.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Okay. And that's all part of the rollout process where we would show you, how to roll those things out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this definitely could fit our bill. I think at this point we've looked at a few different products, and so we want to make an informed kind of cost analysis for that.
Okay.
This looks, yeah, it's great.
I think when we spoke the other day, you had told me that you had the central office receiving, and then you had the professional learning center, and then the 6 sites. So I had down that I was going to use 8 sites as my my site number for the estimate. So
Okay.
I think I've already got that together.
What is it?
Yeah, I think it would
Say
be
those-
that, and then we'd be curious if like there's probably a startup implementation and all of that, which we
Mhm.
understand. So
Yeah, there will be an annual licensing fee, of course, but then the one-time implementation fee. So, but
okay,
I can get that all together for you.
okay. Yeah, I think that's probably like right now, until I can take that to the team, I probably don't have any other questions about. I mean, it certainly does everything we're looking for, so that's good to know.
When we spoke the other day and you were telling me about some of the stuff, I was like, oh yeah, resource manager will do that. But then when you asked about the digital licenses, I was like, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does that. The other, there's also other reports in here too. Like, let's just say a student enrolled in a class and then they dropped it. You can report on those types of things.
Yeah.
You can see whether everyone has a book. So in some states, equity is a big deal. So we have to make sure that they have the resources that they need on the
Yeah.
first day of school. So there's those types of things. This is that class barcodes where I was telling you we
Yep.
could easily print these and it would make it real easy for us to do that distribution. If I selected Mr. Bell here, this could literally be minutes to associate your, to check out or assign, things to students using their, using their phone. We just give them this report where they would have all the scans there. So they just scan the teacher, scan the book out, and using a scanner. Like I said, you can use the mobile app, or some people buy some for the department and transfer them around from room to room during the distribution time.
Yeah.
It's up to you how you do that.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
do you think that that you'll be needing like barcodes and stuff too, or?
I don't know to what degree we've really we used to have our librarian be kind of a central checkout for textbooks, but we've moved away from one-to-one textbooks and we more of a
Okay.
class set of textbooks and then a one-to-one digital. And then we have a few textbooks that we hold in our library that students, like sometimes they have specialized learning plans that require them to have a print text. And so then that student can have it. So all teachers will have that teach a class would have a class set. So I would probably just sign the number to that teacher who's teaching the class. And then the students don't take them out of the classroom from there. If they want to take one home, they have to go to the library and check it out.
Okay, good. All right.
Our teachers don't want to be in the textbook management business. So that's kind of where I would say we probably wouldn't use it at that level. And then
So they wouldn't be checking them out to the
students. No, they would have, but I would be issuing them 30 for their classroom, right? Or 30 per section that they teach. And so it's something that's like, okay, do you still have 30? Did one get, in the class when you're using them in class, did one have a pop spill on it? We need to get an extra one, that kind of a thing. But not individual textbooks to students, minus going through the library.
Okay.
But one-to-one digital resources.
Yeah.
And then in our English language arts, we do consumable novels. So say every child gets a copy of The Tale of Two Cities every year. So we want to be ordering the right amount every year for the kids enrolled in that class. And then that is issued to the child and they get to keep it as a consumable workbook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But your product has all that differentiation. So I understand that would work. Yeah.
Kim, is there anything else? That's it? Yeah, we are pretty proud of our Destiny products. Like you can see, they're very robust, and you can get so many reports and different things too through them. So we are happy with the way those work for sure.
Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay, well, what I will do then is give me a little bit to get an estimate together. It might be, tomorrow or something before I get it to you, but I will definitely put an estimate together. I'll include, what you'll have with that. And our licenses include the hosting fee as well. So you won't, that'll just be a part of the license cost that I give you. So, and then I will make sure it's differentiated. This will be your first year cost with the implementation fee. And then from then on, this will be the annual cost.
Yeah. Love it.
So, okay. Well, that sounds good to me. And if you don't have anything else, I'll try to get that to you here in the next day or two.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think we are planning, I know I'm meeting with our cabinet, our team on Monday if possible. So I don't know pressure, but that would be a time we can always punt it a week later. But I know if we could have it by Monday, that'd be great.
I can get it together and I'll probably have it to you. I don't want to promise this afternoon, but I can get it to you by tomorrow for sure.
That's fair. Yeah, I get it. I know you have to take it to other people. So that sounds good. All right. Well, thanks so much, ladies. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you. And what'll happen is I will just send you a price estimate first.
Yeah.
And then if you decide, we do want to go ahead and follow this, then just request a formal quote from me.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that will take a little bit of time. I will have to get approval on that. So
that's fair.
But so I want to get an estimate into your hands though, pretty quickly. So you know what it'll be.
That would help us in making it the most informed decision. So.
All right. That sounds great.
All right.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate your time. Take care.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.